immigration agents detained more than 450 people at a Hyundai manufacturing site just west of Savannah, Georgia. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives said multiple agencies helped carry out this operation. Authorities claim it was connected to an investigation over unlawful employment practices. The 3,000-acre site has only been operational for a year. Let's go live now to CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camilo Montoya Galvez. Camilo, thank you for your time today. This raid happened at one of Georgia's largest and most high-profile manufacturing sites. So what does it tell you about the strategy of ICE when it comes to immigration?
Good morning, Mugo. Officials say that according to the Department of Homeland Security, nearly 500 people suspected of working and living in the U.S. illegally were detained during this operation, which officials say could be the largest single-site operation ever conducted in the history of Homeland Security investigations, a branch of the Department of Homeland Security that deals with labor trafficking and other immigration-related crimes. According to officials, multiple agencies were involved in this operation, including Border Patrol, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the ATF, the IRS, the FBI, and also the DEA. That really underscores, Mugo, the government-wide nature of the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigration. Most of the detainees, according to officials, are nationals of Korea. Let's take a listen to how one ICE official described the operation.
This was not an immigration operation where agents went into the premises, rounded up folks, and put them on buses. This has been a multi-month criminal investigation where we have developed evidence, conducted interviews, gathered documents, and presented that evidence to the court in order to obtain a judicial search warrant.
I want all of the people, including all of your legislators, to come to the front of the congregation. Your Democrats. I would like for Bernie Sanders to bring himself to the front of the congregation. I would also like for Jasmine Crockett to come to the front of the congregation. To everybody that advocates for this nonsense, they are skirting the law. They are committing fraud. They have unfair labor practices. They are boxing out actual American citizens that are supposed to be doing these jobs. They are getting an unfair competitive advantage against their competitors when it comes to building these sites and operating these plants. And they're doing it in plain sight and laughing in the face of, the United States of American citizens and the Trump administration that says that we are supposed to be employing American citizens and doing right. Where are all of the people that actually had something to say about them? I want you to tell me how this makes sense. I want to see the protesters protesting for people that are basically breaking the law. And now that you have an extensive operation where over 475, they say 450, I think is what 475. I've been looking at multiple different reports. Over 475 people arrested because you have illegal people that are illegally working on these sites. I would love to know exactly what y'all have to say. And, the biggest thing for me is that I also think that we need to be holding these companies accountable that hire people illegally and get an unfair advantage on their competitors when it comes to operating in this wonderful capitalistic country of the United States of America. Why should they get a pass? I don't think that they should. I think that they should be held accountable. And it's difficult for me to have any sympathy for these companies whatsoever because they're making millions of dollars and they're able to bid on these jobs that allow for them to be able to get another unfair competitive advantage. And other people are benefiting, and then they sending the money back to their friends back home, and they're not even legal to be here inside of the United States of America. That's messed up.
Yesterday, we executed that search warrant.
And Biden would never do this. Kamala Harris would never do this.
Gathered additional evidence that will support this investigation. There are no criminal charges being announced today, but this is an ongoing matter.
And Mugo, we should underscore that the Trump administration, since the president took office for a second time, has already conducted several large-scale immigration enforcement operations at work sites across the country, including at a meatpacking plant in Nebraska and a horse racetrack in Louisiana.
And Camilo, Hyundai is a South Korean company, so any response so far from the Korean government about this?
Yes, indeed, Mugo. A spokesperson for the South Korean government said in part, and I quote, "The economic activities of our companies investing in the U.S. and the rights and interests of our nationals must not be unfairly violated." So clearly, the government of South Korea wants the U.S. to respect the due process rights and the legal rights of the people from their country who are now facing deportation. We are told by officials, Mugo, that most of those detainees have been moved to a detention center in Georgia, where they are being processed for deportation.
Camilo, I want to pivot to some of your own original reporting. A Navy base in Chicago could be used to accommodate federal agents ahead of a possible federal deployment. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, Muga, we obtained an internal Department of Homeland Security memo that shows the Trump administration asked the Secretary of Defense to allow a naval base in Illinois to be used as a staging area of sorts for a large-scale immigration operation campaign in the Chicago area in the coming days and weeks. We are told by Homeland Security officials that some Border Patrol and ICE agents have begun moving into this facility known as the Great Lakes Naval Station, about an hour north of Chicago, as well as equipment that is staging there is also arriving to that base. And we are told that these operations in Chicago could start as soon as today and this weekend. This is part, of course, of a broader Trump administration effort to really crack down on so-called sanctuary cities by sending more manpower and resources to target people who are suspected of being in the country illegally. The administration, as you know, is also targeting these cities with lawsuits and threats to withhold federal funding, Mugo.
Good, because obviously, as you can see right here, you have illegal migrants that are inside of the city benefiting financially while at the same time skirting the process for why they should be here in the first place. Let me go over to another report so we can get it from a different lens, just to make sure that we're covering all of our bases here.
Hundreds of people were working at a Hyundai plant in southeast Georgia when ICE agents showed up and arrested them.
Most are Korean. It's the largest sweep yet at a workplace in the president's crackdown on illegal immigration. Skylar Henry is in Elabel, Georgia, which is west of Savannah.
All yours.
Video filmed inside the plant shows armed Homeland Security agents executing a search warrant Thursday.
We need construction to cease immediately. We need all work to end on the site right now.
Officers can be seen outside, rounding up hundreds of workers in yellow vests. Nearly 500 people were arrested. The majority were South Korean nationals. U.S. officials said all had either entered the country illegally, overstayed their visas, or were not authorized to work. Stephen Schrank is the special agent in charge.
Together, we are sending a clear and unequivocal message that those who exploit our workforce, undermine our economy, and violate federal laws will be held accountable.
You can never do this in another country. You would never be able to get away with this in another country, yet we trying to do this inside of the United States.
The massive $7.6 billion battery plant, a joint venture between South Korean companies LG and Hyundai, covers nearly 3,000 acres and is the largest economic project in Georgia's history.
On behalf of all Georgians, I want to thank you.
3 years ago, Governor Brian Kemp welcomed its opening. Authorities alleged the plant had been under investigation for what it said were illegal practices for months.
There's helicopters, Humvees, Georgia State Police.
Production supervisor Casey Deacon was at the facility when the raid took place.
I would assume they would continue, production. However, with that significant loss with personnel, I don't know how they're going to go forward.
Hyundai and LG said that they are cooperating with law enforcement. All of this comes just a week after the South Korean president met with President Trump at the White House to negotiate trade and tariffs. The Korean president pledged $150 billion by Korean companies into the U.S., and that includes $26 billion by Hyundai.
Yeah, we can't have that. We can't have that inside of the United States of America as far as people skirting the process, thinking that they can get away with practically, fraud at a large scale just because you've promised to invest inside of the United States. You got to do it the right way. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Henley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love y'all. Appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Peace.